Hey guys, this is lesson 89, estimating square roots. So to review a little bit, a square root is one of two equal factors of a number. 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 2 is 4. So the square root of 4 is 2, right? I like to have a list of the perfect squares handy. It doesn't take long, and you can save it because on this lesson it will come in handy, okay? So I just wrote out my times tables of my squares. So these things, if they have whole numbers that are square roots, then their product is called a perfect square. Make sense? Okay. Example 1, they said simplify the square root of 400. So they said simplify this. So what they mean is they need to find what n is. So something times the same thing is 400. So what is n? I know it's more than 10 because 10 times 10 is 100. So now I need to look for clues. This is kind of like a mystery. You say, look at that number. What do I know about 4? Two numbers multiplied together that are the same number equal 4, 2. 2 times 2 is 4. Maybe 20 times 20? Yes, 20 times 20 is 400. So it's kind of like solving a puzzle or a mystery. These are kind of fun. If you can think of it that way. You may not be able to. Example 2, we're going to simplify the square root of 625, or something times the same thing is 625. Okay, so let's think about what we know already. We know that the square root of 400 is 20. This number is bigger than 400, so I know that the square root is going to be bigger than 20. Okay, let's use our mystery solving powers. What do I know about 625? It ends in a 5. That's a good hint. What two numbers can I multiply together to get 5? Oh, it's going to be a number that ends in 5. So what number is bigger than 20 and ends in a 5? 25? Yes. 25 times 25 is 625. So use the digits and what you know about multiplication as your hints, okay? This part gets a little more tricky, but you get used to it and it's really not bad. So it says, between which two consecutive whole numbers, so 4 and 5, 7 and 8, so two numbers in a row, is the square root of 20. So the way I'd write that, I'd say A is less than the square root of 20, and then the square root of 20 is less than B. So those numbers are right in a row, okay? So let's think about my perfect square chart. So the square root of 9 is 3, the square root of 16 is 4, the square root of 25 is 5. So the square root of 20 falls somewhere in between the square root of 16 and the square root of 25, right? It's somewhere in there. So it's between 4 and 5. So I can say 4 is less than the square root of 20, and the square root of 20 is less than 5. So the square root of 20 might be, I don't know, 4.5, but not quite, somewhere in there. So they asked me which two consecutive whole numbers. So 4 and 5. Make sense? Okay. So the square root of 20, we could never really find an exact answer. We kind of estimated that it's about 4.5, but we don't know exactly because it's an irrational number. So I went to the glossary and looked up irrational numbers. Numbers that cannot be expressed as a ratio of two integers. Their decimal endings are non-ending and non-repeating. So in other words, you can't really get an exact answer to how much you have, an amount. Pi is an irrational number. Square root of 20. We don't know exactly. If I could narrow it down quite a bit, but I'm never going to find an exact answer. Example 4 was using a calculator. So if you don't have a calculator at home that has a square root function, most phones have a calculator. And if it doesn't show up when your screen is vertical, you can turn it sideways and you get more scientific functions that way. If you want to skip that one, that's fine. And that's really the easiest way to find a square root. But I want you to play around with some of these where they want you to do it manually without a calculator. And then you can use a calculator for the ones that they let you. So that's it. Easy lesson. You guys have a good day. Bye.